All right, well, welcome to your Microblading Career Roadmap, the first 6 months. I'm Glenn, I'm your host, and in the other screen, we've got Amanda Brewer. Say hi, Amanda.
Hey everyone.
All right, now I brought Amanda on to help participate in this program because she is an incredibly successful microblading artist. She started from literally zero with no experience in the microblading industry, and in less than 1 year built a very successful business. So her insights are going to be invaluable to you. I also want to mention to you that the way that we built this particular program is we consulted with many of our most successful artists. We obtained from them like their feedback on what were the steps that they took in the first 6 months of their business. How did they select an academy? How did they prepare for their course? How did they, what did they do during the course, all of this? And then the first 6 months afterward to really set themselves up for success. And we want to hand that over to you in the form of this series of videos that you're about to get, as well as the ebook that comes along with it and the checklist. All right, so one thing that's very important that I want you to know is this program is for two different groups of people. So the first group of people are those of you who are watching this that you have not yet decided who you're going to get certified in microblading with, and you may need help in actually making that decision. How do you select an academy? That's the first part. That's the first section. If that is you, then you're going to want to watch this from right here and just continue with this video and go through the whole program. However, if you've already taken the course or you've already started your online course, the first one, maybe even two, possibly even the third section, 1, 2, and 3, are not really going to be relevant for you, and you are going to want to start on section 4 and 5. That's where you're going to find the meat of this program that will be very, very valuable content for you. Okay, so go ahead and just skip to that section and you'll get right into what's really most valuable to you. So let me tell you quickly a little bit about Amanda, or actually Amanda, if you don't mind, I'd like you to just sort of give them the 1-minute version of your story, and then we're going to jump right into how to select an academy.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for having me on, Glenn. And like you said, it's been a little less than a year. It's been a big year. So a lot of this information being shared today is invaluable because I didn't have a lot of this starting out. We're handing it to you. However, I was very busy, accounting background, working 80 hours a week. And I found the time to do the training and eventually step away from that career so that I could be freed up in my own business. And it's taking off like crazy. And so I found the right training. We're going to explain to you a lot in this webinar how I did it starting out. But yeah, that's really the simplified version.
All right, perfect. So there's one more thing, Amanda, that I want to mention to everyone watching before we get started, is that this course or this program, if you will, is not necessarily about marketing your business. We have a completely separate program for that, which is called how to make your first $10,000 in microblading. That is a separate course. That is not what this program is. This program is all about the building blocks that you need to have in place, which has to do with selecting the location where you're going to be delivering your services. What are all the things that you need? How do you, what are the pieces of your branding and your social media that you need to have set up just in order to be able to start actually doing your marketing? There's lots of different things that we're going to talk about, but we want to make sure that you set yourself up and that you position yourself very professionally, because that's what makes the difference really between people who are very successful in this and people who are not. You want to not only set yourself up to be professional, but you want to then tell the world how professional you are. And that's what we cover in the How to Make Your First $10,000 in Microblading program, which is the other program. So now we're going to go right into section 1, which is how to select a microblading academy. Sections 2 and 3 are how to prep for and how to get the most out of your course. And then sections 4 and 5 are the first 6 months of your microblading career after you've taken the course or after you've started the online course. Okay, sound good, Amanda? You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so let's do it. Let me share my screen real quick, and we're going to get into selecting an academy. Share. Here we go. Just let me know when you can see my screen, Amanda.
We're good.
All right, let's do it. So so there's two different ways that you can take your course. You can take the course as an online course, or you can do it as a live course. And the difference between the two is certainly with us, and this may or may not apply to many other academies where you can do this, or trainers that you could get certified with. But with our online course, Amanda, what do you get with the online course?
With the online course, you get a ton of information. And so reading material, a lot of instructional videos, you learn about colors, you learn about the skin, the depth, you go through all of the levels of qualification, you get the materials to be practicing, you get to communicate back and forth consistently with your trainer, your master trainer, and get feedback as you start doing your practice strokes on latex. And so very, very vital. That's how I started out, was the online course.
Right. And so it's delivered to you in the form of a mobile application, right?
Correct.
There's a mobile application, and then so that's the online course, and then you get ongoing support. So not every academy offers this, and it's very important that you find this out, and we're going to go into that in just a moment. But that's the online course. The difference between the online course and the live course is that the live course includes everything that we just described in the online course, but it also includes a live event where you actually, at least in the case of our academy, you get to physically work on a model with the guidance of a master instructor who's right there sort of over your shoulder helping you do it. All right. So that's the difference between the two. Now, the requirements for both, whether it's the live or the online course, you want to make sure that they have an organized curriculum, that they have what we call restricted levels, requiring that the master trainer that you're training under authorizes your advancement through those levels, which Amanda will explain what that is. You want to make sure that you have some sort of a mobile device access or online access to the course, because you're busy. Amanda was working, I think, how many hours a week were you working?
80 hours, Glenn. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so she didn't have very much time, so she needed to kind of fit it in where she could, and this may apply to you. And then you have to have ongoing trainer support. So Amanda, can you talk about your experience a little bit with these 4 points?
Yeah, so the online course for me that's what I started out with, like I mentioned, very organized. And what I really appreciated about it was the restricted levels, because going into the academy, I was scared because I had actually reached out to other artists that had shared with me they'd wasted a lot of money on courses that they really didn't get much out of, and so I did research. A ton of research, believe me. And the restricted levels, I think what I liked about it is you don't move forward in the course until you've mastered certain aspects of microblading. And those aspects are so important starting out. And so for me, that was a must. I wanted to be held to a standard. I wanted a master instructor to be able to say, this is not good. You need to work on this. You need to improve on this. And so literally building through the little building blocks of your artistry, I felt more confident, because I'm like, okay, I've got this down, I've got that down. And by the time I was at the last level and got my certification, I felt good, right? Versus just watching maybe somebody on a different course, or having a one-day overwhelming amount of information, right, and not being able to have that one-on-one help. So that was everything to me.
And for you, you were very busy, so having access to it, like, when did you do the course?
Late at night. So when I was at home, I dedicated a certain amount of time every day, and it wasn't overwhelming, but it added up, little bits of daily time that compounded into getting my certification in a relatively quick amount of time, so that I could just roll into building my business. Right.
So how many, I don't know, how much time per day did you do this? And between what time and what time typically?
It would depend on the day, but probably an hour or less a day, which really isn't too bad. That's what people spend watching TV, right? So.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to complete the course?
I believe exactly 1 month.
Okay. And talk about the ongoing trainer support, because this is an absolute requirement for whatever academy that you're going, when I say you, the viewer here, is going to choose to get certified with. Ongoing trainer support is an absolute must. Can you talk about why that's so important?
Well, yes, because starting out, I did my first few models after getting my certification, but I didn't feel like I had mastered the art. I was still a beginner. And so when I started, and I know we'll get into it, when I started subleasing at a salon a couple days a week and I had my first model clients, paying clients, I still had situations where I had questions, or what color to use, or I would send my master trainer a photo of my after photos on every single client, and the feedback that I received was not only very thorough and detailed. Obviously, constructive criticism is the best thing when you're in this industry because you should
Right.
be focusing on improving, right? I do not think the quality of my work would have ever progressed the way it had without that. But on the other side of things, I'm the one that initiated that, and so you have that ongoing support available. But I just want to encourage you, if you have that available, use it to the max, right? Because that helped me tremendously. I got so much more confidence so much sooner because I was able to get feedback on my actual paid clients' work. So,
Which accelerated how quickly you advanced in your, not only your proficiency, but your ability to make money and make your money back from the course, right?
100%. Yep.
Right. So it's like, it's not just like a gradual curve of improvement. You exponentially improve very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, great. So let's talk about, so we feel that it's very important that when you select an academy, you want to make sure that you're going with an academy that has a requirement to qualify for graduation, that they don't just give it to you, but you actually have to demonstrate a particular level of proficiency, that you've achieved the standard. And that it also includes a starter kit that has most of what's needed to complete your course and actually begin microblading. Can you talk about that a bit, Amanda?
Yeah, well, for me specifically in my state, I'm in Seattle. There's a lot of people getting licensed that use participation certificates to get their licensing and everything, which isn't the end of the world. However, it does give me a advantage being able to communicate to my clients that in order for me to get my certifications, I had to master these levels. I had to qualify as an artist in order to have this type of education.
Right.
And that brings so much credibility right up front, even though I didn't necessarily feel I had credibility, although I've learned over time that it really does set you apart with a good education. And the starter kit was helpful because that was a lot of the expensive things that I needed starting out that I didn't have to invest into. And so when I subtracted the amount of all of the things I got in my kit, the actual course really wasn't that expensive. I mean, I'm a math nerd, so to me, the value is very high. And like you said, I was able to practice. I was able to get started with my pigments and everything right away.
Yeah, perfect. And so with the live course, let's talk about requirements just for the live course. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If someone's watching this, they want to take the live course, you really want to select a live course that includes a live model. That's really important. That experience where you actually take the tool and actually put it on someone's skin, and you can do it only because you have a master trainer beside you to actually walk you through it. It's like a quantum leap from working on practice skin to working on a physical person. And I can't emphasize enough how important that is. You also want to take a course that is at least 2 days, because there's a very substantial academic portion where you need to learn certain concepts. But then there's the practical session where you're actually working on the physical models. And there's tremendous learning that goes on between both, but you need at least 2 days. Now, excuse me, there's some academies or trainers that offer multiple days. There's 5 days, there's 3 days, there's 2 days. To me, and Amanda, I'd like to hear your feedback on this. To me, it doesn't really matter whether it's 2 days or 3 or 4 days, because you're not going to learn microblading in 2 or 4 days. You're going to learn the concepts and you're going to learn how to learn microblading. And then you have to go back home and practice like crazy with the guidance from your instructor. And as you do that work and get that feedback, that's the process where you start to really absorb what you're trying to learn. So, Amanda, can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, well, to start with the live models, I have spoken to many artists that attended what they thought to be a great course, and I heard about 2, 3 artists sharing one model. And what I love about because I eventually did do a live course after doing the online. And what I loved about it is I had my own model. And not only was it my own model, which like I was excited about, but I was being instructed by the master trainer one-on-one with my model, and it helped me so much. I didn't feel overwhelmed, and I've heard that is not as common. I didn't realize that. So that was very important to me looking back. And I think too that that just again referencing the ongoing support, yes, it is overwhelming learning all that information at the live course and doing your live model, but like you said, it really comes down to the practice afterwards and the feedback you get from your trainer. So the combination of both is going to set you up for success.
Perfect. It's important that if you do an online course, check with the academy to find out if that course is convertible into a live course. Meaning, can you pay a certain amount of difference and actually attend a live course? Amanda took advantage of going to a live course after she had done the online course, and lots of students take advantage of this. Accessible on any mobile device or via an internet browser, and that it includes all of the requirements mentioned for, okay. So Amanda, talk just a little bit about the importance of having that flexibility to be able to take a live course afterward. If you do, if someone's watching this, if they choose to start with the online course, and the fact that it's accessible on a mobile device.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people listening here, you're busy, you probably work full time, you probably have kids, or whatever the situation.
Okay, Amanda, sorry for that interruption. So please go ahead with that.
Yeah, so again, like I said, I was so busy. I know most people are, but if you want to change that, like I wanted to change that in my life, I needed to figure something out. And so for me, starting with the online course, it gave me the flexibility in my slight edge time. Sometimes that was late at night, sometimes it was early in the morning, sometimes I would be studying on like when I was having lunch, or I would be listening to some of the webinars while I was getting ready in the morning, just all that time. That is how I did the online course. And then my goal, though, was not just to get the online course and get going. I did want to convert it into a live course. I wanted to have the opportunity to have a trainer help me with the model and everything. So eventually, and I was already graduated within a month by that time, I was looking for a weekend where I could take the time to travel, or a lot of people are fortunate enough to have a local training. But that was it for me. So I was busy, and online was everything for me.
For someone who's watching, as they're selecting an academy, one thing that they should pay a lot of attention to is before and after photos of both the trainer's work and the student's work. Did you look at this?
Oh, yeah. Because you'll realize as you look at different academies, there's different styles of microblading. A lot of them are not very pleasant, right? And I really, really, really resonated and loved the natural style that my master trainer had. And I was very excited to train with them specifically because I really appreciated the quality of their work. And so, yeah, that was definitely a big deal for me.
And then what about students' work?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I've told you a million times, you guys had webinars, you had student success stories, you'd show their work and everything. I was blown away at the quality of work that a ton of your students have and all the success they've had.
Let's talk about reviews. I highly encourage anyone who's considering really doing anything. If you're going to really invest in something, you want to read what other people have experienced. But so read the reviews. Don't just count them. Because in this day and age of social media and social proof, there's a lot of people who manipulate this kind of stuff by buying likes and buying, views on their videos and things like this. So I highly encourage you to actually read the reviews. Do they sound sincere? Do they seem legitimate? Do the reviews reflect the kind of quality education and engaged training staff that cares? Did you engage in this sort of stuff?
Oh, yeah. I read every single review, which there were hundreds, and I read every one of them. And just like with building my salon, I don't have a bunch of just like, oh, 5-star review, like, oh, great experience. I was reading paragraphs on your page about their experience, like the live trainer, the online training, or like you said, the amount of just care that the trainers had, and that really compelled me to look further into it because I was like, man, I know that I'm going to need that ongoing support that they're referencing. And so, yeah, it was very genuine.
This is just sort of a little side note here, but I think it's helpful for anyone who's watching, that we found relatively early on, like an incredible emotional response from our students who would go through, like they were like so overwhelmed by how excited they were and how much they felt that we delivered to them. And in the beginning, we felt confident that we were delivering good value, but we didn't realize like the impact that it was having on people's lives. And so when we started hearing some of this feedback, I was like, oh my God, we need to ask people to share their experience. So we started asking everyone to please share their experience. And if you, like, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reviews. They're 5-star reviews, but if you actually read them, like Amanda's saying, the sincerity, it's very powerful. And this is also a quick little second side note that we talk about in the how to make it to your first $10,000 in microblading. I know, Amanda, you use this very effectively in your own marketing, right, when you were getting started. How did you do this?
I said I would ask clients as they left or after they saw their healed result and they were so excited. I was like, hey, I know you made a great choice and you researched finding your artist, but if you wouldn't mind sharing about your experience online. I didn't ask for a review. I was like, but I know that you read them before you came in, and so it would be great if you wouldn't mind just sharing about your experience here in your 2 appointments so that you can help others to choose an artist that's right for them. And they were so excited to do that because just like the students at your academy, it was an emotional experience. Their lives were changed. I still get text messages like, you changed my life. It's
Yes.
very cool stuff. And when people read that, that's a big deal. And I feel like when clients come in, or even when students come in for their training, they almost feel like they know you already because they read so much about you in the experience. And I think that's such a special thing.
Yes, that's very powerful. So for you watching, you not only want to read this content on the various academies that you would consider getting certified with, but it's also a tip for you to use for yourself once you get started. It's super important. That social proof is so powerful. And the way that Amanda just described is a really powerful way that you can utilize it. So testimonials, this is sort of along the same lines. There's reviews and there's testimonials. The reviews are written. The testimonials oftentimes are like video-based testimonials. We did this a lot. I know, Amanda, in the beginning, you and I had a conversation when we were doing some coaching with you to help you grow your business, that you started implementing video testimonials, and that was helpful, yes?
It was very helpful.
Yeah. So, but it's the same supply. Just sort of don't just count them. Actually listen to them and see if you can detect whether they're sincere, whether these people truly, what kind of an experience they feel that they may have had, because that'll help you formulate an opinion about the academy that you might consider going with. I think it's probably one of the best ways. In fact, I would go so far as to say, if there's really just one thing that you could, like if you literally did nothing except just one thing, I would watch testimonials from students and I would read reviews. And you could make a great decision just based on that alone, probably. But student success. Now, here's another one that's so important. Can you tell if the academy that you're considering getting certified with has a lot of successful students? And so look for videos, posts, various types of online content that features successful students, because there's a lot of people who, they can very easily put up before and after pictures, and they could claim that, they certify people and they're great. But you want to know that their students are actually succeeding. And that's why we created 6-Digit Club. If you don't know what 6-Digit Club is, you can go to our website, which is microbladingacademyusa.com. And it's actually / the word the number 6, and then the words Digit Club. So the 6-Digit Club, with 6 is the number 6. You can find it by searching. I think it's under training. It's somewhere under the navigation. You'll find it. But what you're going to find is a whole bunch of students that we feature who are making in excess of $100,000 per year. As a matter of fact, Amanda is one of them. In fact, Amanda blew past that. She went so far past that. And we have lots of other students who have too. And so it's important to look and see if the academy you want to get certified with has successful students. Not is just the trainer successful, but are their students successful? Amanda, thoughts?
Well, yeah, and I want to add to that too. There's success in your artistry and there's success in your business. And I saw both, And for me, before I had chosen, I took a little while to choose my academy before training. I did my research. And what I did is I stalked all the webinars that you did because you guys would feature artists that had done well, and they both had very good work and successful businesses. And I took notes. I watched every video multiple times, and that was everything to me because they gave me all this information. They shared their experience about the training and how it set them up for success. And what I also liked was on social media, all the master trainers would share their students' work. And I was looking at their students' work like, oh my gosh, that looks like the master's work. But I love how they showcase their students because it was very impressive, and it encouraged me that even though I had no artistic background, that maybe I could achieve that, which obviously through all the support and ongoing support, I've been able to do that. So
yes, super important.
Mhm.
So you want to check your potential or your prospective academies' online presence and their marketing materials, and just kind of look and see, is their social media professional? Is their website professional? Are their marketing materials professional? Do you see, I like to look at, I don't know. I tend to, I don't know if you're like this, Amanda, but I tend to look for like red flags when I'm just starting to get to know someone or getting to know a company. You kind of pick up on if there's literally like on their website, are there errors on their website? That's like the first thing that could tell you that they're not paying attention to details, or they're either understaffed, or they're just, something's going on there. Perhaps. Now, maybe it's just okay, if there was one spelling error or something, okay, no big deal. But if you see a repetitive pattern that there's errors, and then their marketing materials, there's errors. Maybe there's errors on their videos. Maybe if you start seeing things like that, or you start seeing like maybe some errors, and then their testimonials don't seem all that legit. Like there's things that you can figure out and put together that you'll just kind of feel inside that something's kind of weird here. But at the same time, the alternative is also true. If you see that they're very professional with their engagement, with their presentation, with their videos, like, look at this program that we're putting on for you. This is a very professional setup. And we do that intentionally to give a lot of value up at the front, to give you a very professional experience immediately so that you get a feel for what it would be like to actually engage with us and get certified with us. So Amanda, thoughts on this?
It's everything. Yeah. I am a nerd. And there were academies that had spelling errors. So it's funny that you say that because I'm so grammatically correct. Whatever. But
you're not politically correct, but you're grammatically correct.
Yes, that's correct. But again, though, I think the biggest value for me was your marketing. And I know that as I subscribed, because it took me a while to make a decision. I did my research, I read the reviews, but once I got on the email subscription and started getting the videos that were provided and the student success stories, and I watched them, I took notes on them, I felt so confident that I was going to the top academy. It was just over time, you just know. And I knew that if I invested in that top academy, it would separate myself as an artist in my area, and so just keep in mind, if you invest in, it's kind of like going to Harvard versus your local community college and applying for a high level position. I wanted to be recognized as a top artist in my area. And so I knew that investing into the best education and training and having, even these little webinars, even just that first $10,000 webinar, those are vital. People don't get that. People don't know how to make their first $10,000 and build the foundation for a business. That is such valuable information that has really honestly separated my business over the last year. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's great feedback. This concludes section 1. And so let's move on to section 2.